not be 70 degrees and breezy where you are, so sit back and relax and get ready for 2 hours of great racing from the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. It's the season beginning at Daytona International Speedway, the BMW Performance 200 from Daytona. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsa with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. Welcome to the beginning of the Conti Series, as we call it here at Speed. Now in its 13th year under Grand Am sanction, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge brings together massive fields of cars straight off the showroom floor. They race together in two classes, the GS or Grand Sport Division for heavy American iron from here and abroad, and also in the ST or Street Tuner class for the compact cars. Big speed differentials, and these cars are quick. We've seen new lap records in both classes in qualifying, but inevitably, Calvin, we see some faces in new places for 2013.
We certainly do, Bob, and the series has really been immensely popular with the manufacturers to really showcase the performance of their race cars. A couple of years ago, we saw Camaro take their first victory in the GS class. Last year it was Subaru. This year, look for Aston Martin. They've come loaded for bear. They've got 6 cars in the field this year. It will not take them long to climb to the top step of that podium. But Dorsey, Daytona round 1, you can't win the championship here, but you can certainly lose it.
Calvin, you're absolutely right about that. First race of the year, we're at Daytona. It's easy to get caught up in the hype. The reality is that there's 2 classes of car. There's over 60 cars racing today. And what we've seen in the past is if you let yourself get knocked out of the race and you get no points in this race whatsoever, you might be a contender, but you might not be able to ever catch back up again.
You see the starting grid across the top of your screen. The blue means that's a GS car, the yellow an ST car. Congratulations to Jade Buford and Ryan Ellis, who start on pole in their respective classes. Let's talk about the GS storylines for the race to come, Calvin.
Team change for the champs, Bob. Empringham and Ferrano now in an Aston Martin with Multimatic. Rum-Bum Redemption. They were really stripped of that title at the end of last year. They're always strong here. Rice Roundup, they're the defending race winners. The 61 car on the front row.
Now let's meet our pit reporters for today's race, beginning with Brian Till.
Well, Bob, you guys talked about the championship last year. It was David Empringham, John Ferrano that won that championship. And I'm sure you celebrated in the offseason, David, but you guys have put John to work running 3 different classes or 3 different races this weekend. He just won Ferrari Challenge, but you guys come home to sorts for you to back to Multimatic, but a brand new car. How's been that return, and how's the Aston Martin?
Well, it's certainly a great homecoming to come back to Multimatic. We've had a lot of success in the past, and a lot of my close friends are here, so I'm really enjoying that. This weekend's quite special for John Ferrano. He's running in Continental, he's running in Ferrari Challenge, he's running in the Rolex. Just came off a win and 2 poles in the Ferrari Challenge. Really proud of how well he's doing. So here we are starting a new season in the Aston, and high hopes, but kind of being realistic, hoping for a top 5, and it's a long season.
It is a long season, but for David Empringham, Multimatic is home. He's won in Continental Tire here before. He's won a championship with his team. And remember, in 2003, he won the Rolex 24 in the Daytona prototype class with Multimatic.
All right, thanks very much, Brian. Now let's talk about the ST class, Calvin.
Encore, can Pierre Kleinubing defend this championship? He won it in a photo finish here last year as a race winner as well with his teammate. Championship or bust. The Freedom 25 car so close last year. Electrical issues at Lime Rock and iMoto Madness. They not only held the championship, they also have one of their cars on the pole here today.
Now back down to the pit lane and Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, it was an incredible race here just 12 months ago. Pierre Kleinubing edging out Andy Lally by just inches. And then in September, Pierre Kleinubing, what looked to be inches at Lime Rock Park, grabbing the Drivers' Championship in Street Tuner away from Tom Long and Derek Whitus. But Pierre, a little bit different story today. You've got your sister car up in P1 qualifying, but you guys problem back in 30th in qualifying. How are you going to get to the front today?
Well, we're going to try our best. You know, we cannot win the championship here today, but we can definitely lose. So our plan is get as many points as we can and think ahead. Let's see what happens.
And we're sharing pit lane today with Jamie Howe.
Tom Long watched his championship literally wash away with the electrical gremlin in the rain in the last race last year at Lime Rock Park. But this is a new year, and there is a revived sense of excitement on this team, Tom. So what's changed within Freedom Autosport?
Well, I tell you, we've certainly worked hard over the winter. Last year, we thought we had the championship right where we needed it, and just to make that last race happen. And like you said, and we had a little bit of a struggle, but this year, we'd like nothing more than just to get to the same place where we were at Lime Rock this year, and we'll take advantage of that. And of course, you know, we remember all the men and women that served our country with Corporal Singer.
It's time to go racing.
That it is, and we are green at the BMW Performance 200 at Daytona as Aston Martin leads them down into turn 1 from their first ever pole.
Jade Buford down there takes that pole position and takes the car to the lead. It looks like Al Carter may have had a great start there. I think it is. Yeah, the 45 car. He is up to second. Look at Nick Longy from 6 on the grid.
Tricky corner right here, one of the slowest. It is the slowest on the infield, as a matter of fact. Very little grip. They'll come through it the first time clean, it looks like.
And the ST field now gets a separate start, and they are down in turn 1.
It's wild and woolly down there. Look at that massive ST field. Get through there nice and cleanly. On the pole for that was Ryan Ellis. Second time he's had the pole here at Daytona. Also got it back in 2011. What did he do that year? Took it to victory.
2 and 3 wide as they negotiate the infield hairpin.
It's tough if you're on the outside here in a qualifying situation because there's really nothing you can do about it. There's so many cars at the start of these races. You just have to work together. That's what I was talking about before. You're just going to have to let this thing sort out and get single file.
On the left of the screen, we're looking at that GS battle. Jade Buford out front in the Multimatic Aston Martin Vantage. Al Carter in second, but look at Nick Longy. He's got it right in that draft. That Porsche's lost a few RPMs this year, but it still looks strong here. He looks to the inside.
They almost were nose to tail up there on the banking before. Rum-bum Porsche trying to get some advantage in the draft, I believe.
Cars are fresh right now, Bob, so you can really take it in deep on those brakes, but you will not be able to do that for 2 hours and 30 minutes, I don't think. Al Carter really buried the brake pedal.
Look at that. Look at Al Carter.
He closes in on Buford.
Big drafting here, no doubt about it. You're running these cars 140, 50 miles an hour. Look at it get sucked right up the back end of the Aston.
Drafting battle here on the high banks. This is like a dyno, but it's for real. Not just horsepower numbers. This is how it works.
Your top 4, Aston Martin, BMW, Porsche, and Mustang.
Gotta watch getting pushed out wide right there. So Al Carter almost didn't get turned back in. There's a gray area out there where all of the spent debris is. You get the front tires out there and it won't turn.
Jack Roush slotted in the 4th spot, started on the front row. Had that massive accident at the end of the year at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, broke his wrist and his arm in several places. Good to see Jack Roush Jr. back behind the wheel.
On board with Al Carter, there's your BMW Performance 200 Continental Tire race analysis with all the details. This legendary combined NASCAR oval and infield road course.
Look at the different body styles in the top 4 cars, if you will, and realize the Aston's very aerodynamic compared to that BMW as they come on high bank.
Change for the lead here in ST. That 30 pole series got pushed back and the Bimmerwell car takes it to the front.
This is going to be a real fight all year long, this ST class. These guys are like little gnats. They just get after each other really hard.
It's Tyler Cook behind the wheel of the 81 car. Talk about young. He wasn't even allowed to race at Watkins Glen last year. They have an age restriction there. So this is a young man who's doing things very early on in his career.
Well, there's no better way to learn racing than to be in a class like this, where you race every square inch of every lap.
Chad Gilsinger there in the Hart Civic.
Oh, the 25 Freedom Autosport Mazda swapping paint there.
Good little battle.
They definitely got together door handle to door handle, and we'll see a lot of that as the year goes on.
Derek Whitus, always aggressive and so close to that championship. That was a heartbreaker for him and Tom Long at the Lime Rock finale last year.
This is one of 4 onboard cameras we'll be bringing you during the race.
The other Freedom Autosport car looking out of the 26 machine.
Can't tell you how much fun it is to race here at Daytona with a car like this. One of these street cars up here on the high bank. I mean, it's just a thrill.
Battle for the front here. Al Carter on board with him right now in the 45 machine. The Positive Foundation, they're looking for a way by. Jade Buford, that Aston looks like it's really settled at the back end there, Dorsey, putting the power down well early in the going.
Yeah, he carried a little bit much speed in that corner, and he was on the outside. He never get down all the way to a real apex, but it never stepped out, Calvin. The back end stayed right underneath the Aston. Still early, however, on these tires.
Talked about the Roush cars having a good solid start. They qualified 2nd and 3rd, but unfortunately this 3rd place car in qualifying had an infraction with some ballast the way it was mounted in the car. So Dewey Atterbury has to come from the back of this fierce and competitive GS field. He'll share the car with Shelby Blackstock for the year.
If I had to come from the back, this would be the racetrack I'd want to do at it, because there's a lot of racing room and you're up there. And of course, Shelby Blackstock is son of Reba McEntire, who's here today to watch her son.
Country music legend. Up onto the high banks they go once again. 68 cars in all, 2.5 hours of hard racing ahead of them. We'll have it all for you. We'll be back with more of the BMW Performance 200 from Daytona. Welcome back. About 15 minutes into this 2.5-hour race. Daytona International Speedway, very familiar, 3.56 miles around, 12 turns. Tell us about it, Dorsey.
Known as a super speedway, you've been watching, you know we're on the 31-degree banking. That drops to 18 in the tri-oval, about right there. The braking zone into turn one, we'll see action there all day, all night. The infield's very flat, very slippery. If you drop wheels, you bring sand on the track. Here's your problem area, the back straightaway chicane. That will cut up a lot of cars today.
And now let's bring you up to speed on what's happened in the last few minutes. And there's been a lot of action up front, Calvin.
There certainly has. Here we see Al Khalid's a great draft on Jay Buford around the tri-oval and takes the B Positive Foundation BMW to the front. But it didn't take long for Jay Buford to respond, Dorsey.
Aston's got a good amount of straightaway speed. You see him working the bottom lane on the big bank and takes it right back.
And behind him, you see Nick Longi in that blue and yellow Porsche. He'd had enough of everything. He wanted a taste of the lead, and he got it through the tri-oval down into turn one.
Then we see the action getting really tight. Dorsey down in turn one. Al Carter getting very aggressive there. There was half a gap. He tried to force that BMW through it. See Ray Mason there having a little argy-bargy.
That was rude.
That was. Quick spin for him. The other car gets away unscathed.
A lot of aggressive racing going on, and now the GS leaders have caught traffic. Nick Longi leading him through.
It's where you got to work together. What we talked about before, these the street tuner cars are not as fast in the straightaway, but when they get to the apex of a corner or a brake zone, they're lighter and they're more agile. So you have to work around those guys. And unfortunately, one driver in the car, when they do a driver change, might not be at the same town as another. You got to know not only what car you're driving, but who's in it driving it.
Yeah, you've really got to look way ahead there. You see Nick Long, he actually dived down onto the apron a little bit to make that pass. You've got to be careful. That transition is not really friendly to a race car, particularly when it's loaded up and is on edge. But Nick has a lot of experience. This team is wanting to rebound from that major disappointment last there. And there you see Nick Longi's fastest lap of the race.
The always colorful rum-bum racing cars. To the pit lane now, and Brian Till.
Hey, Bob and ST, keep an eye on that number 56 BMW running third right now. Jesse Combs behind the wheel, shares that car with Jeff Mussing out of Murillo Epic Racing. They've been running well, first to third the entire time. Their best finish of the year last year was sixth right here at Daytona. But right now for Jesse Combs, a bit of a painful race. He's got 3 screws in his left femur. He fell down the steps at his house. You think motorsports is dangerous, so can the steps in your house be. So Jesse Combs, maybe he's not feeling any pain right now, but these driver changes, man, that is going to be a challenge for that team. Chris, what have you got?
Well, Brian, Jay Buford was running right up near the front. However, he's sliding back a little bit right now. Was in second, back and forth. That Aston Martin, Dorsey, you were saying, very slippery up on the racetrack. Talking to Larry Holt, vice president of Multimatic. That group developed that car last year, racing that car this year. He said, yes, it's very slick up on the tri-oval, doing about 175 miles an hour around here, but it's real strengths under braking, going into turn one, going into the infield, being able to outbrake the competition, but then giving it up, coming off those slow speed corners. That car not as much torque as the BMW or the Porsche. Jamie?
Well, in GS, also keep an eye on Roush Performance, and specifically the 51. Billy Johnson, you're waiting to get behind the wheel of the car now. You and Jack Jr. are the defending event winners. What's it going to take to repeat today?
Man, there's been a lot of changes in the rules from last year to this year. There's some really fast cars. The Aston Martins are showing some really a lot of top-end speed. The Porsches and the BMWs are always really fast at Daytona, so it's going to take beating those 3 cars. We have some strengths in our Mustang. We have new brakes, which hopefully will be more consistent and allow us to fight through the whole race long. But just like last year, it's not going to be easy, and so far it's really exciting, and it's going to continue to be that way all the way to the checker.
I want to take you away from Daytona for a moment. Fans of the show American Idol airing on Fox, if they watched this week, they got to see you driving a Ford Fusion around Charlotte. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I got to work with Ryan Seacrest in a Ford Fusion, teach them how to go around an oval, and that was a lot of fun. And if you look really closely at the airing, I think a couple of days ago at Charlotte, you might just see me in the back seat with sunglasses on.
All right, thank you both.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sure I wouldn't want to be in the back seat.
Talk about the brake package on these Mustangs for this year. Oh, problem there for, I think there's Mark Bowden behind the wheel of the 46.
Yes, it is. Share it with Brian Sellers. A lot of tire smoke here down in the horseshoe.
Not sure what's going on up there.
Yeah, he's already in trouble there.
Yeah.
See smoke up ahead, so I'd imagine there'd been some contact, Bob, between a couple of cars there in the pack, and then he nosed it in at the subsequent hairpin.
Got a full course yellow as a result of all that. First one.
That car is buried in the tire wall, well and truly. So we'll take this opportunity for a break. Our first full course caution here at the BMW Performance 200. We'll be back with more of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge from Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona. Let's get you up to speed. During that long full course caution, the number 81 Bimmer World BMW reached the pits, opened the trunk, prepared to exit fuel, and the fuel hose broke.
Then under yellow, after a wave around where these ST cars are trying to catch up to the main pack, David Tillenius had a massive accident going through the king doors.
We'll update Tillenius' problem. We've got problems.
Rum bum spun around backwards. I saw contact 3 cars.
That was our leader. That was our leader. So as they went to green, there was some contact there. I think Al Carter's involved in the 45 machine doors. Is that the car?
Yes, yeah, the 45's got damage.
I think he got into the back at the start. I didn't get to see it. I saw 3 cars going, though. Now he's going straight, and what that means, he's going to bypass that inner loop, go around. Now he's going to cost him a lap, but it's a smart thing to do. He's got a wounded race car. He's going to go back to the pit lane.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to get all the way around, to be honest, Dorsey. Now he's down on the apron.
Oh, that's still going on. Look at that. It was a big hip check there.
Contact there with one of the Camaros, so this is getting wild and woolly. Everyone was frustrated after that lengthy caution. But what about this? We've got a Stevenson Camaro out front. Here we see Al Carter's car. Let's take a replay at this start. You see Nick Longy.
Classic accordion here.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, everybody backs up.
Oh, and he clipped him. He tried to get the jump. Runs into the back of the rum bum, spins that car.
That was Sandberg in the 48 machine who was right behind him.
From on board, there was a pop on the Aston Martin.
And that was all the stack up. That was that accordion.
Oh, and Carter was almost able to avoid the car ahead. On board the 61 now with Jack Ross Jr.
Wow, that was wild. There's some different restart rules in place for this year, and I think everyone's trying to get the handle on it, and not a good way to see it. Essentially, you can go racing at the green. I think everyone was ramped up trying to do that.
Once that pace car drops down and off the racetrack, you can go full throttle. And what happened was that that didn't happen right away. Everybody got antsy.
You can see the way Al Carter had to turn the steering to the right to accommodate the damage to the right front corner. And now we've got Aston Martin's fore and aft. These are the 2 Multimatic cars. Also during that long yellow flag, the number 7, the newest entry from the alliance between the Racers Group out of California and Aston Martin North American Racing. That car at its debut has gone to the garage with apparently terminal mechanical problems. Now let's get an update on David Tillenius, who had that massive crash under caution. Here's Chris Neville.
Yeah, Bob, just checked in at the Halifax Infield Care Center down here, and the extraction team decided to take David directly to the hospital. So the staff here said they really don't know his condition, but the team out on the racetrack said they wanted to take him to the hospital outside the track and not even come to the Infield Care Center here. So obviously our thoughts about David and hoping that everything is okay there.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Up front, Matt Bell. Well, what a weekend for this car, Dorsey.
Wow.
This car had a major fire in Thursday's practice, had a fuel line come apart and essentially spray down the engine, cook the front end of that Camaro. A lot of work had to get in to even see that car see further action this weekend, and now they find themselves leading this race.
They rebuilt this car from the firewall forward. In fact, didn't have all the pieces. They had a Camaro show car in the infield for the fan center. Had to take that thing apart and steal the pieces from it to rebuild this race car. Good job, boys.
This team won a race last year, and with John Edwards and Matt Bell doing the majority of the driving. John may share that car with Robin Liddell. They may trade in and out throughout the course of this year, but Matt Bell is going for the Drivers' Championship, and they're going to be tough.
He's got Michael Marsal, who switched over to Aston Martin this year, and Jade Buford, our pole sitter, running behind him in those 2 white Astons.
Michael loves this new Aston Martin. He said it just rolls through the corner with so much speed. A little bit different to driving the BMWs that he's done for many years with Turner Motorsports. Finished runner-up in this championship a couple of years ago, co-driving with Joey Hand. And now we see finally Al Carter has got that B-positive foundation. BMW back to pit lane, but major damage to the right side. Oh, you see the left front suspension is awry as well.
Well, they work on that. Here's the lead change as the two Aston Martins go by the Camaro.
Yeah, they double drafted each other, and right by they go. Look at that teamwork.
That was pretty cool. Look at Marcel really deep on the brake. Can he tuck it in there? Great job.
Very good job.
Awesome. Like that's Buford. Buford in the 55. Got them mixed up there. Buford around Michael Marcel, who's in the 71. Two cars working together well. They really did a great job tandem drafting there around that Camaro. Of course, that Camaro has a pretty big greenhouse that has to punch a hole through. Those Astons look a little bit more slick, of course, on the super speedways.
As they begin to string out a little bit, let's go to the pits and join Brian Till with a special guest.
You know, Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge brings out all kinds of VIPs here, and some of them just happen to be team owners. If you're a baseball fan, you certainly know this guy, CJ Wilson. And CJ, always great to see you at the racetrack. I know you don't get here as much as you'd like, but every time you come here, is it hard to just sit and watch, or do you want to get in one of those cars?
I mean, I'd love to be driving, but right now we have 4 professional drivers in the car, so doing the best thing that we can. We just lost our radiator in our number 5 car, but the number 3 Head and Shoulders car is running flake-free out there, so we're doing okay.
He's a professional, you can tell, guys. All right, so let's talk a little baseball. We'll go from autosports to baseball. I understand the gun had to have some work on it during the offseason. Is it ready to fire when we get back to spring training?
Yeah, you got to change the differential in the transmission every once in a while, so I had some range of motion issues in my elbow, and we cleaned that out, so I'll be good. You know, I'm already back to pretty much normal for the offseason right now, so team's good. We got Hamilton, we got some other pitchers as well, so it looks to be a good year in the AL West for the Angels.
So the Angels hoping for a good year, and right now CJ Wilson hoping for a good race here at Daytona.
I had a great chat with CJ Wilson at the Formula One race in Anaheim, Texas, where he had brought out some of his cars for display. He is a huge car guy as well as a race fan. It's good to see him here with his own team. One of a number of pro athletes who are involved in racing teams.
So Billy Orblin there in the Turner Motorsports BMW in the thick of the action there. One of the GS cars that took the opportunity to pit. When that caution initially came out, a lot of the GS cars hadn't survived the 30-minute rule, which is now a hard line. You got to pass start-finish with 30 minutes of drive time on the car before that driver can get points. So that really kept a lot of these GS cars out on the racetrack, meaning they haven't stopped yet.
I talked about at the beginning of the show about, you know, big picture stuff right now. These guys are awful racing. We've got a lot of racing left to go. We've seen some big crashes already today.
No question about it. Out to the pit lane and Jamie Howe.
Hugh Plum finally got the number 45 from Fall Line Motorsports back out on track. It was a broken steering arm. The crew went to work. They got the work done, and he's now back out. The day, though, is finished, as we saw for the 46, so they did have a couple of extra crew guys to work. The team was hoping to go 1, 2, 3. Last year, they went 2, 3, 4. Not going to happen today.
Boy, oh boy, the season opener, and it's already been a tough season for some of the teams in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. We'll be back with more of the BMW Performance 200 from Daytona International Speedway. It's a great view from one of the ST Challengers. Welcome back. Less than an hour remaining in the BMW Performance 200.
And this is getting really good up front. I'll tell you what, the two Astons barely hanging on. Matt Bell, very aggressive. Joey Atterbury, we're riding with him right now. Roush Mustang comes from the back.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I mean, but boy, oh boy, did Michael Marcel stuff it in there on the brakes. Down into turn 1, the American Muscle was certainly taking advantage down the straightaway, but Michael Marcel in the second of these Multimatic Astons just took it all the way down.
Oh, something bad happened right there. I don't know what it is. That looks like engine might have let go on this one.
Bimmer World having problems. Oh, problem for two of the major BMW teams. Different classes, of course, but this is devastating. We talk about Daytona digging a big hole in points. Boy, this is one of our championship favorites, previous champion here.
And that looks also engine related. It looks like it's puffing hard out the exhaust. Two of these go on the same lap.
Grimmelwald obviously running an ST. Turner Boys GS Championship contender.
That's
look underneath. Look underneath here. All the oil is dripping.
That gets back to what you talked about at the top of the show, Dorsey, about how you fall behind early in an 11-race championship. It's hard to catch back up.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of them here. This is definitely terminal on the 80, and I suspect it will be too.
Watch, see what plays out here again. Previous lap, we saw Marco Marcel get caught and passed by Matt Bell here in this Camaro, and Joey Atterbury in the Roush Mustang. Similar story. It's Eric Curran there in the top 5 as well in that black Camaro just outside this battle.
Michael Marcel drove it down into one, like you said, Calvin, so deep. Took that position away. It's not going to happen this time, I believe.
There's a big old Camaro in the way this time.
Yeah, very big.
He's going to go through it. This is allowing Jake Buford to inch away from these guys at the front of the field. Our pole sitter here today.
Man, that's tight through there. You know what it's like going through there, Calvin. It's tight when you do it by yourself, but when you're doing it with 3 guys.
Report from the stewards that there was no penalty on Brett Sandberg in the 48 car that turned around Nick Longy at the restart.
Battle continues nose to tail. Let's get more on the Turner situation with Chris Neville.
Yeah, Bob, Will Turner down here talking to his crew. Will, any idea what happened to the car?
No, obviously, as you can see on TV, it's got a hole somewhere in the motor where it's not supposed to be. It's too bad. First race of the year, you really want to do well because it sets the momentum for the rest of the season. But you know, we had to push. We had to push as hard as we could because the competition is tough. And in Continental racing, anything can happen, and it usually does. It's a shame. I see the car. They're checking it out now, but it looks terminal.
Yeah, and also a little bit disappointing. Will Turner only here with 1 car this year. For the last 8 years, he's had anywhere from 2 to 4 cars down here for this race. Just 1 car this year.
Bill Oberlin thinks it's terminal, that's for sure. He just checked out, got out of the seat. I'm done, and I'm pretty sure the engine's done too.
It sure looks like it. There's Connor Bloom's car being picked up by the crew under a local yellow. And the leaders go by.
Oh, trouble.
51 slow off the chicane.
Slow off. Now,
sure is. Now it's another one.
Imagine he's out of fuel. He's one of the guys who came from the back of the pack. Remember, they had problems in qualifying, in technical inspection. Now he's trying to get it refired. I think his driveline
related to this. He's got no drive. Box full of neutrals, I think David Hobbs once said.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a shame because this car was quick. They come from the back of this pack and get it all the way back up in the top 5, vying for the lead. Had a lot of potential here today, and Shelby, his teammate, has been doing a great job as well, showing a lot of speed this weekend.
He's lucky enough he's going to make it back.
Shoot, stop, and then if we got to, we'll have to push it to the garage. We'll have to push it back to the garage. Go ahead and do the stop, though.
.31 car, Kleinubing.
Second place currently in division.
One of the ST teams that have stopped. I'm not sure about our leader at the moment, the 33 car, whether they made a pit stop. The majority of the ST field did come in because they were past the 30-minute mark whilst we were under caution, and top up with fuel and get those driver changes done. But I believe the 33 car is a car that has the lead right now but has not made a pit stop today, so that gave them track position.
Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Joey Atterbury in the 51 car. Here's the replay. Listen to the sound of the engine.
Stripped a gear somewhere there.
Yeah. It could have broken the input shaft or something that disconnects the drive line.
Whole transmission's gone.
Whole transmission's gone.
Nothing.
Tough day. This place has been feast or famine for the Roush boys. Couple of years they dug big holes with an accident, a brake issue with the 61 car. Then they came back and won last year.
There's the leader, the Aston Martin from Multimatic.
Key for these guys now, Bob, is can they do it on one more stop? They need to do about 42 minutes on each of the subsequent stints to do it. Chris is on the spot.
Yeah, Cal, this is our pole-sitting car. Car finished third last year and a second place at Barber, second round of the season. That was with Scott Maxwell and Joe Foster. Scott Maxwell teaming up with Jane Buford this year. Maxwell getting behind the wheel. They were 16th on debut last year at Daytona, hoping to come away with a win this year. No wins last year for Aston Martin. Team looking real strong in this stop. 4 tires, fuel. Scott Maxwell just about ready to go.
Vastly experienced Scott Maxwell. He's done this for a long time. Now the 89 is reversing course. Fraser Wellen in a
Had
Porsche.
to be turn 1 because that's the only place you can do that. Big ride. Took a huge
Came
ride.
across the grass and took out the pylon.
Wow. Which means if you were in the pit box, that was close to home. Yeah.
Was that on corner entry or was he leaving the pit?
I'd assume at the speed.
Yeah,
I would
was
say
on the track.
He must have been trying to.
He just spun down across right at the end of the pit lane, which is lucky no one was there.
Always
That's
thought
the
about
mess
that.
he made right there.
So Scott Maxwell heads back out on track. Let's go to Jamie Howe.
We talked about the troubles that Bimmerworld has been having so far today. James Clay, the number 80, now out of the race. What were the warning signs? What happened?
I was on the radio and no warning sign at all. The motor let go, and that's all we know right now.
We talk about how you can't win a championship in the first race, but you can certainly lose one. This was one of the favorites, so how does the team recover?
You know, we've still got 2 cars out here. You know, everybody has bad races. It's not great to start the season with yours, but you know, it's a long season. We've got a good car, good team. We'll be in there.
There were also fuel issues on the first pit stop right after the 30-minute mark. What went wrong?
As far as I can tell, we had a problem with our dry brake setup. Just didn't get fuel in the 80 car or the 81. At this point, we pitted the 81, and we do have a full load of fuel in there. We're running on 2 different fuel strategies, and one of the 2 is going to play out for us. We hope. We got 2 fast cars on track, and you know, we'll see where it goes.
All right, thank you.
I think the key in this game, a lot of the teams can deal with fastballs. It's the curveballs, things that you don't think of, Dorsey, like a fuel hose breaking. How do you recover from that? If you can't get fuel in the car, strategize then. When's a good time to get in and get back inside a fuel window?
You know, certainly that hose wasn't stretched too far. I look at that. I thought maybe the car was too far forward. That wasn't the case. It just, I think, wasn't put on properly, the dry brake.
Those other 2 fast cars James Clay referred to are running 5th and 16th in class. Another break coming up. We'll be back with more of the BMW Performance 200 from Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway and the BMW Performance 200, part of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series, the season opener for 2013. On board the number 26, and you see that decal for Corporal Christopher Singer. Driver Tom Long mentioned earlier they were memorializing Corporal Singer, who was a Marine from Temecula, California, who was killed in action January 21st in Helmand Province in Afghanistan at the age of just 23. It's only right that he should be memorialized this weekend here in Daytona. And here's the number 13 now in the hands of Matt Plum. His co-drivers with Brian Till.
Bob, Matt Plum and Nick Longy looking to rebound after the season didn't end the way they wanted to in 2012. But Nick, things looked to be going pretty well until that first restart. What happened?
Well, I got hit. I mean, look at the data. I was even speed. I was trying to keep it nice and calm, trying to keep cool. I guess everybody behind me maybe wasn't keeping so cool, but didn't vary the speed, kept it even. I don't know what happened. I don't know who hit who. It is what it is. Some people can stay calm, some people can't. That's life. We're fine. We'll get back. Keep it coming. We're going to keep going.
They're going to keep going, but on the way out, it looks like a speeding penalty was assessed to Matt Plum. They had to do a drive-through. That has set them even further back. Let's check a little further down pit lane with Chris Neville.
Well, Brian, Eric Curran brought his Camaro in just a couple laps ago. And Eric, you were running right there with the Aston Martins, but you were telling me earlier today that this track was all about a top 10 because you didn't have the top end and you couldn't keep up with the Aston Martins.
Yeah, it's a struggle for us, to be honest. It might not look that way. I mean, I started towards the back without qualifying today, but This 01 CKS Camaro was really good. The trick is you got to stay right in the draft for those guys. They got stronger performance than we do in a straight line. You got to stay on the rear bumper. But this Team Chevy Camaro is doing a good job, and up there with the Stevenson Camaro as well. So we're fighting hard. Continental Tires held up great the whole time. So doing a good job. We'll see. It's going to be a fight right to the end. These guys fight hard. You saw that restart, but we kind of wove through it and jumped up to 4th place from the back. So I'm happy so far.
Well, the team had a great pit stop, but his teammate Lawson Oschenbach did get a speeding penalty here in pit lane, so he had to do a drive-through.
Wow, it's a couple of the very experienced drivers, Matt Plum and Lawson Oschenbach, getting those penalties as early in the season, of course, and everyone gets really antsy, but that's a big penalty. You don't want to be driving down pit lane again at 45 miles an hour. It's going to cost you about 25-30 seconds in comparison to the rest of the field with the Delta.
And I think what's happening to these guys is it's the first time on a new rule they're taking the pit lane speed off of an electronic loop in the pit lane, whereas before it was on a radar gun. So I think they're pushing the envelope a little bit in their pit box and getting caught out.
Same thing with the restart. I mean, Nick Longy said, hey, I was on the constant speed, but green is go now. So
yes,
we didn't see a shot of how that stack up was in comparison with when the green flag flew. But if teams were calling green of the rest of the field, then maybe that's what caused that incident.
Yeah, a lot of rule changes, and it's going to take these guys a little while to get accustomed to it because it's a different procedure than they've been used to.
There's your race leader, the 15 of David Empringham, being chased by Billy Johnson in the red 61 Mustang Boss 2.
What a remarkable record David Empringham has for winning championships. In the last full seasons of racing he's done, the last 8 full seasons, he's won 6 championships, 2 Atlantic titles, an Indy Lights, 3 Grand Am Series championships, including the one last year. The boy just gets it done.
Let's go down to the pit lane and Jamie Howe.
With Billy Johnson out there fighting for the lead, that means his co-driver Jack Roush Jr. is down here. Jack, you had an incident in practice at Laguna last year. You missed the last 2 races, but now you're back. How is your arm?
It's doing great. I had some great doctors. Dr. Goulet and Dr. Oates are out of U of M. They did a great job for me, and I've had a lot of support, so the recovery's gone great.
I understand you have a pretty nasty scar from it. You also play classical piano, though. What's been harder to get back to, piano or racing?
Piano, I was already starting to do that a few weeks after the accident, but racing, it took a few months to be able to do that again.
All right, I want to see that scar. While you pull up your sleeve, you know what kind of car Billy Johnson has out there right now. That is pretty gnarly. What is he going to have to do to win this race?
Stay out of trouble, be fast, and he's a very talented guy. I have all the faith in him. I'm sure he'll do great.
I'm going to tell you right now, he's fighting. He had the lead. While we've been talking, he lost it, so get back up there and watch.
Well, Jack Jr. at the end of the race, end of the season last year, experienced a brake failure at a very high-speed track, Mazda Laguna Seca Raceway. Had a huge rollover, went through a gravel trap sideways, it tripped the car up. He did a multiple flip, tore the car to bits, broke his arm. I didn't get a chance to talk with Jack about what his mental frame would be after an injury like that. Well, he just did it for us. It's not bothering him a bit, apparently.
And there you see Billy Johnson going for the lead in that car, ahead of David Empringham and Spencer Papelli, now in 3rd place in the 38 Porsche.
The big change for this year is the braking package on this Ford Mustang. It's got the Ford 500 braking package. They have to carry extra weight because of that. They've also got a new ABS program, ABS system from Bosch, and the boys are saying that really works well. They really didn't feel they could be competitive at the end of these races with cars like the Aston and the others that are so strong down in those braking zones.
Well, they had that failure, and it took Jack Roush's injury, I think, really to open up the eyes to a bunch of people to there's a problem that needs to be taken care of here.
And once again, we have a parade of 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 positions in GS. Ford, Aston Martin, Porsche, and Nissan.
Look at that front Camaro, and every time it gets at high speed, the little part in front of the hood buckles up. Take a look at it here. You can see it right there. The lead Camaro there, when you see a frontal shot, take a look at what the arrow's doing to that deal.
Yeah,
See it?
I think they've been in the wars at some point today.
It's been like that for half the race now. I've been watching it. It's not getting any worse, but it's got to be pretty annoying to the driver to be looking at that.
It's a bit of a parachute too, I would think.
I would think it is, yeah.
Empringham just sitting there, so much experience, such a classy guy, and he's just biding his time. I think he wants to have a strong race car at the end of this one. Looking at probably one more stop for these GS cars. I think the yellows have worked out well. It's going to be tight, but I believe these cars can do it. with one more stop.
Well, once you've ascertained that your car is in fact strong enough to be able to pull down that straightaway and get the advantage on all these other cars by start-finish line, you would do exactly what David's doing. Sit back there knowing that and keep out of trouble, just ride out the laps and pull the trigger when need be.
As I say that, he's now trying to go around the outside at the king doors.
Yeah. All right, on the other hand, then.
Yeah. He's a racer. Pumpelly in the mix there with a Porsche 2, putting the pressure on.
Through the West Horseshoe and headed for turn 6 up onto the big banking of Daytona International Speedway. There's your top 5 in GS. We'll take a break and return with more of the BMW Performance 200. Back at the BMW Performance 200, and we've got a shuffling going on at that very point of the spear in GS. David Empringham, Billy Johnson, and Spencer Pumpelly, Aston Martin, Mustang Boss 302, and Porsche 911 battling it out.
Yeah, this is good for sure. Spencer Pumpelly got by Jack Roush for a moment, then Jack did a double pass by up on the banking to get that, and here comes Pumpelly again to the inside.
Yeah, this is a great battle. Spencer, one of those guys, Bob, you talk about changes for this year. He switched from the TRG group over to BGB, the team that won the championship last year. We've got Empringham out front. We said he'd be patient, but he wants the lead right now. He switched from BGB to the Multimatic team. Billy Johnson behind the wheel, of course, of the 61, and he's one of these aggressive boys, Dorsey. He does not like to be passed. It will not go down well. He's going to fight hard for this one.
That's what's making it entertaining. These guys are really pushing each other around pretty good. So far, clean racing. Billy Johnson, we know he wants to get back up there.
He's leaning on that rear tire a little bit more than the other guys coming off. He's got to be careful. You've got to manage these Continental tires. They're great, but you cannot abuse them over the course of a full stint because the other guys will just drive away from you.
The Aston's got legs, though. There's no doubt about it. You watch that car, and it really is good on this top speed run. On the other hand, you know, like you say, Billy Johnson, if you can get behind it, as we heard Matt Bell talking about before, you can draft that thing and get the speed out of it.
As you see the runners in the ST class crossing the top of your screen, we'll go down to the pit lane and Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, I think we're taking a look at Nick Mancuso in the 16 Aston Martin. Nick Mancuso last year running in the Multimatic. Jimmy John's Ford Focus stepping up to Grand Sports this year, and that Aston Martin literally still has the wrapper on it. That's a brand new car. It was flown over from England on Monday this week. They were hoping to shake it down at Pro Drive over in England, but because of a snowstorm over there, they couldn't do it. They got the car to the racetrack, got the seat, got the nets in it, got it on the racetrack on Wednesday. The first time, the car really wasn't set up that well, but they definitely got it up to speed quickly. That car brand new.
Certainly up to speed, Chris. I mean, Nick Mancuso currently in 5th spot. As you say, that was a hustle to get that 4th Multimatic car in the action here this weekend, but he's done a really nice, clean job. He just slides it down in there. This is Empringham and Johnson going at it for the race lead again.
Working through traffic, and they just split one of the ST tuner cars, which makes it pretty harrowing for the guy if you're in the middle, you know.
Told you Billy Johnson didn't like being passed.
No, he didn't.
Spencer Pumpelly in 3rd. They had a big celebration in the off-season as well. He and his wife Lindsay celebrated the birth of their first child, son Ryder, in late November. So it's been a big off-season. Not a lot of sleep for Spence.
You should know about that.
Yeah.
We have a medical update now on David Thelenius, who had that big accident earlier. We'll show you the replay once again. Left of your screen at high speed off the track, nearly rolls, but thankfully lands right side up. Thelenius was carefully extracted from the car, taken to the Halifax Medical Center, where we are told he is awake, alert, and being evaluated. So we'll try to update that situation as it develops. David Thelenius from Aliso Viejo, California, is being treated.
I think these guys right now, Cal, kind of sizing each other up, you know, working out where is my car fast compared to yours. Where can I get an advantage when it comes down to the... We still got a long way to go in this race, well over an hour. But
what I'd also be thinking about, Dorsey, is saving a bit of fuel, because I think they're tight on their fuel window. If you're punching that hole in the air, it's going to burn fuel. If you can sit behind someone, feather that throttle a little bit, roll out of the power, down into the brake zones, that may give you an advantage. It looked like Spence peeled off there. Yep. He's not going to make it unless he gets some help with yellow with an hour and 3 to go. These cars typically go about 50 minutes, maybe 55, so that is definitely outside a window to go green the rest of the way, topping him up now.
As soon as you said the fuel word, that he needed some.
This is Spencer Pumpelly, 45-mile-per-hour pit lane speed limit. Shares the car with Dr. Jim Norman. renowned expert on parathyroid disease from the Tampa Bay area, and a big-time car guy.
It's a major move for Spence to move away from the TRG group. He's celebrated so many victories over the last few years there, but got a great opportunity with the BGB team, championship winners. Jamie's there.
They did take this opportunity. That looks like they're going to do 4 tires. They have 2 on right now. The Jackman moving over to the other side. These pit stops do take a little bit longer than what you might think, but there is a lot of strategy that goes on. These teams practice this. These are orchestrated, and to have Jim and Spencer join the team, BGB said it's given them that extra push. This is the 5th anniversary of when they won this race here at Daytona. They have all of the tools, they say, to do it again this year.
And Pelly will stay in the car.
Looked like the fueling was done quick if it was a full fuel load to beat tires. The 93 car currently in the 5th spot in ST. What's going on with the Hart boys, Brian?
Well, I mean, as you well know, Calvin, that combination of Chad Gilsinger, Michael Valiente, absolutely magic last year in the races that they ran. They had 2 wins and a second in a string of 3 races right there. The team has remained unchanged, with the exception of they've got a new Civic this year. The 92 car is now a Civic. It was an Accord last year. And all the competitors now having to run on AST shocks. That means their adjustment range is a little different than it's been before. But I talked to that team. They said they're really gelling around Michael Valiente and some ideas that he's brought to the team. And it's really showing on track right now. The 93 having another good run here at Daytona.
Yeah, he said the other day, he said we spent the practice day just working on shocks, and he said we were surprised how fast we were in comparison with the rest of the ST field. So coming off a season where they had wins, you probably could add a couple more with a little bit more luck, but these team really fast, and Michael's been getting the job done, and the gunslinger, as we called him last year, Chad, has done an awesome job as well. This is a potent combination. I think if they really play their cards right, they missed a few races last year. If they compete in every event, they're going to be a championship contender for sure.
This car, Hart, Honda American Racing Team, is put together by Honda engineers that on their own time fund personally and put this car together and take it to the racetrack, and they do a really good job.
They've got a shoe in Michael Valiente. I've been calling his races for a long time. From Vancouver, British Columbia, and Canada, a racing family, big in the kart industry. And Michael drives lots of different race cars during the year. 14 is in. Brian Till's there.
Yeah, you guys talking about Hart, Michael Valiente, the only guy on that team who doesn't work for Honda. That's interesting. But down here at Doran, a good run for the 14. We saw this Nissan run very strong last year with Brian Highcotter and BJ Zacharias. Tim Bell and Zacharias now behind the wheel. They have been running fourth. A little confusion with pit stop strategy. Zacharias now in. He'll take it to the checkered.
He was 5th when he entered the pits. We'll see how he comes out. Right now we've got another break ahead, and then we'll be back with more of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, the BMW Performance 200 from Daytona. Pit stops continue. Less than an hour remaining in the season opening BMW Performance 200, and there is the Honda Civic in the ST class we talked about just a moment ago. Michael Valiente seems to have either lost power, certainly lost speed on the super stretch, and he is just limping back to the pits at an agonizingly slow pace. Jamie Howe awaits him in the pit.
The reason he's going so slow, Bob, is because he actually doesn't have any brakes. They're trying to get him to the pit lane as safely as possible. Pit lane officials actually just had us move out of the way just to make sure that we don't get hit by him. He has made it to the pit stall, so the team's going to have to get to work to diagnose the problem.
Well, I've had that happen before too. You know, you lose complete brakes up there on the racetrack. All you can do is just come in, like you saw him slow down, and he's going to coast it in and try to get the thing to stop. You can do that by turning the ignition off and just using the gears to slow you up to some extent.
Engine braking.
It's a shame we talk about this race. It is so critical. It is so competitive in both classes, GS and ST. If you start dropping scores like this with the massive fields that we have, if you have a DNF, essentially you get 0 points or just a handful, and it's tough to make it up.
That's what we talked about at the beginning of the show. I mean, it happened twice to Jack Roush Jr. that he crashed out in the first lap, and that was a contending car for the championship, and 2 years in a row it kept him from being able to win.
To finish first, you must first finish. There's your race leader, Billy Johnson, in the Mustang, number 61.
Also shows you how fiercely competitive this series is, that you could lose a race and not be able to do the championship, you know.
And he suddenly has a tremendous margin. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, our second place car, David Empringham, bringing the Aston Martin to pit lane. This is that final pit stop, just checking with Larry Holt, team principal. He said they needed to get to 55 minutes. I think we're at about 53 minutes left in this race. Also right behind him, Nick Mancuso in that brand new number 16 Aston Martin in for his final stop. So fuel tires for these drivers. Oh, problem here with the left rear tire on the car. Dropped it before the tire changer was done. So they had to jack that car back up before they could get it done, but still working on fuel. Yep, this is a little bit of a slow stop, waiting for that left rear to get finished. So not the stop that David Empringham was wanting. Amy?
That's worse for the number 93 from Hart Racing. You can see Michael Valiente out of the car. Their day is done. Absolutely no brakes left on this one, so they cannot go back out and race.
You can see the disappointment in Michael Valiente's face.
It's a punch in the guts for that team to have that happen so early in the year. Great hopes, didn't do a lot of off-season work, but just continued to show the form they had last year, even here in the early going. So hopefully they can rebound at the next round at Austin.
Ian James in 4th place in the pits right now, getting what looks to be routine care, fuel load.
They're doing a good job. They actually now have a second car where Ian can actually bring the second car out in the practice sessions and help train Roger Miller. And he's really impressed with the improvement that Roger Miller is making throughout the course of the season racing together. This is Terry Borchell. He's one of the front runners in the ST class, and here we see our leader come in. Johnson, he's in the pit window too, so everyone's starting to make these final pit stops, hopefully. But Borchell was running second in class.
It looked like he had damage.
Saw some damage. Yeah.
Jamie Howe.
And Billy Johnson safely in pit lane, hit his marks perfectly. The team is going to do full service. He's going to get the Sunoco fuel as well as 4 new Continental tires. The team said with this new brake package, they feel like they are able to go out there and actually race. Last year, they definitely had the power, but now they have some nobility also. I talked to Billy Johnson before he got in the car, and he said, we're going to win this championship. Our goal is to get ahead early, which they've already done. Now they just need to hold on to it.
Waiting on fuel. Keep it jacked up there to try and help the fuel flow into the car. Sunoco fuel, of course, going on board. Good clean start. That's what you want to see. All of the other stuff done and complete and just waiting on fuel. That is a good efficient pit stop by the Roush boys.
There's a Dodge Challenger. We haven't seen that all day running about.
Let's hear from one of the drivers. Tony Avi is with Brian Till.
Vehicle Technologies SRT Challenger has run in the top 10 throughout the weekend. Tony Ave, you won in, I think, anything you've ever sat in or on, but this is your first Continental Tire race, which is kind of hard for me to believe. You having fun?
Oh, I'm having a blast. I had a lot of friends tell me how much fun this was. It really is, and we're really proud to, to support all those Mopar fans out there with this Dodge SRT Challenger. The three-dimensional group and Vehicle Technologies and Doug Peterson give us what we need, and we're just going to keep working on it and try to make it faster.
Now, it seems to be pretty fast right now. In fact, Jan Halen just missed the braking zone down into turn 1. So right now they're working on developing that Challenger, and it's great to see it out here, guys.
I think what he's going to need is a new front set of tires there. That was locked up for quite a while.
Big lockup for sure. Jan Halen behind the wheel. And now we have a full course caution for an incident, we are told, in the chicane.
This is only the second full course, believe it or not. The first one quite lengthy, however.
Last year there were 6 in this race. Now we're told there was a car that had stopped in the chicane. There it is.
181 APR. Volkswagen is stopped right at where the flagging station is to release you if you don't make the chicane.
This really hurts some of the GS cars that haven't stopped, because there'll be a bit of a stack up before they make that pit stop, and they'll lose a lot of the buffer and gap that they had on the rest of the GS cars that had pitted. So they're going to lose some track time and position because of this, and I expect pit lane to be pretty busy for those GS cars that have not made their second stop of the day.
Alex Altberg.
Oh, something broke. That blew up. He's parked it there. That's why it's not going. He got it under control, and he just did the right thing and kept it off the racing surface. I think that was probably engine failure.
Looking under the car. Oh, yeah. At the front.
Yeah,
Flew it on the ground.
There you go.
Telltale sign that somebody's day is now over. Another break coming up. Coming up on 3/4 of an hour to go in the season opener for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, the BMW Performance 200. Here's a race recap in today's BMW Performance 200. Early on, Nick Longy in the Rum Bum Porsche went around Jade Buford in the pole-sitting white Aston Martin, one of several GS lead changes up front. Al Carter then got into Buford.
Little hip check.
Here we see Ray Mason attacking Juan LaRue.
A little bit ruder, more rude.
We've seen lots of contact. Different sort of problem for the Bimba World car. Watch the fueler. Ooh, the wrong kind of splash.
That was this equipment is serviced over the off-season. Something was not quite done up tight, I would imagine. Then we see a really scary moment here for David Delenius. During the wave round, all the cars back up to speed to try and catch up with the pack. He gets it wrong. Something went awry anyway. Big incident there.
On the restart, the classic accordion job as people got backed up. Nick Longy in the Rum Bum car got turned around. Al Carter in the BMW suffered damage. Later on, a little bit wide.
Berg Racing number 40 going around there. And then we saw a great battle up front between David Empringham, Billy Johnson with Spencer Pumpelly in the mix as well.
And the green flag waves. We are back to racing at Daytona.
Billy Johnson got a good jump that time. They're allowed to go now when the pace car drops to the apron. And Billy opened up about a 2-car length lead.
And Spencer's got a couple of lap cars in the mix there before he can start to attack on Billy Johnson. So Billy Johnson's going to take advantage of this situation, try and gap himself to the other GS front runners.
You see the timer in the race, and now we're hearing that Spencer Pumpelly will have to serve a penalty. Pit lane speeding, perhaps?
That's all I could figure.
That's a devastating blow. We talk about the depth of this field. If you've suddenly got to roll through pit lane, lose all of that track position. Jamie, what are you hearing down there?
You guys guessed right. It is pit lane speed. I just checked in with BGB, and they said that the cone has moved. So you guys talked earlier about the new timing loops that are on pit lane to control the pit lane speed, and that's exactly what got Spencer. So unfortunately, even though he is battling up front, he will have to come down pit lane.
Oh, he's battling right now on the racetrack, and he's going to have to come in pit lane for damage if he doesn't watch himself.
Yeah, he needs to get that stop done. Just give himself as much of a cushion there in terms of getting that track time back. Under 30 minutes on the board is going to be tough to him to get back in the big points today.
That's a huge penalty right now in this part of the race to have to come in at that green flag. 45 miles per hour pit lane speed limit all the way down this pit lane takes a long time.
The car will assume second spot is that number 15 Aston Martin there, driven by David Empringham. We've got Billy Johnson out front. Spencer's got to serve a penalty, and then we've got a lap car in between them. And we see this little schmaltz. There's someone out wide there going for a ride, I think. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Ooh.
55
that's Maxwell.
Again in the chicane on the back straightaway where we see so much of this happen.
He's not, is he alone?
No, he's not alone. Well, now that's a different place right there. That's a whole
that's another spot of the racetrack.
Yeah, that's the 35, and we hear that the Subaru program, this may be a one and done for them this year, so that is a major blow to the series and to that program. Race winners last year at New Jersey, and we're hearing that Joe Aquilani's squad will not have the backing of Subaru for the remainder of the season.
Let's see what happened to Scott Maxwell now in the Aston Martin. He's got front end damage now.
Well,
just got into traffic.
There's the front end damage right there.
Yeah, it's just hard to see there with that.
And he was alone.
Touched or not.
Spencer Pumpelly serves his penalty.
Oh, he won't be happy. He'll be fuming now.
Now, you notice the cone scattered everywhere. When Jamie said the cone had moved, I wonder if it was when that Porsche came spinning through turn one.
That's a good point.
And knocked all the pylons everywhere.
Yeah, he came through there from the racetrack side, almost hit the end of the pit wall and took all those cones down.
More on Maxwell's situation in the Aston Martin. Chris Neville.
Well, Bob just checked in with Larry Holt, and he said Scott Maxwell on the radio with the team saying a whole bunch of cars just pushing and shoving down there in the bus stop. He got hit hard from behind and sent him off the racetrack.
And we've got several cars spinning in the infield in the horseshoe, one of the C.J. Wilson team cars.
Husker there in the 198.
And there was a third car. It was one of the Mazda Speed 3s that was backwards to the direction of travel.
Yeah, he's got a cone sticking out the back of that one. And there's another one, too. He's got two cones under that car. So
it's Chad McCumbee, I believe. In one of the C.J. Wilson Mazda MX-5s.
Got to figure they've mixed it up in the brake zone, I would think.
He's got two under there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's two cones under there. 2 points. And those cones weigh, you know, they're pretty heavy. And you chuck one of those out, it'll break away. There goes one. At least not 2 of them. You got, if you're a car behind, you don't want to be eating one of those cones.
You had a glimpse of the speed differential between the GS and the ST cars approaching the braking area for the backstretch chicane. Meanwhile, back at turn 1.
Battle for third here. Nick Mancuso in the number 16 Multimatic Aston. And you got Jonathan Edwards behind the wheel. That Stevenson Camaro looking the long way around. Oh! 140 Aston there going really deep. That looked like trouble for a moment.
It did, didn't it?
Chris Wilson behind the wheel of that car, who said they've really done a great job. Got a new engineer on board with that number 140 automatic racing Aston Martin. He said he's really transformed it. He said we just really didn't have a handle on the Aston last year. Did some testing. He said now
once
really
again,
up, but he's getting in there too deep. He's getting really aggressive, and he also told me the front end of those Astons is really susceptible to damage, and I think he needs to be careful because he's done a good job of trying to knock it off.
Yeah, there goes a piece of chrome trim work off of Edwards' Camaro.
Lawson Ossenbach in the black Camaro just behind Chris Wilson. And then Matt Plum in the Rumbum Porsche.
That's an angry little group, as I like to say. Everybody really driving hard right now. Edwards was really the one that was driving the hardest, and he kept getting himself wide.
There's your leader in the ST class. 33. Let's hear from his co-driver with Brian Till.
Well, Laura Tolman down here, Vesco Kozarov in the car right now, Skull Candy Team Nissan. And Laura, this little Nissan has been flying. You guys only ran 6 races last year. Daytona, not one of them. The car seems to really like the high banks here.
That's true. It's been a great weekend, and it's it's about time. We've been developing the car, and we're really happy with it, and with the support of Nissan and Rage Tank this weekend.
Now, 30 minutes is the minimum drive time for points. I know that you got out of the car before that 30 minutes. You're willing to sacrifice points for a good finish here?
Yeah, as the team owner, I'm just thankful I get to drive once in a while. So that was what worked out best for us, and I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that, but are you fine with fuel? We got a little bit left to go in this race. I know strategy is a big part of it. Enough fuel in the tank of that Nissan Altima?
Fuel is a big issue for us, and we've done calculations to the best of our knowledge, and we gambled on a yellow, which we got. So I think we'll just be we'll have a couple ounces left.
Yeah, a couple ounces, that's all it takes. All they need to do is get to the checkered flag. He can run out after that.
This is going to help him, Dorsey.
This will help them. Full course caution's just been put out. We don't know what their situation is, but it certainly plays into their hand as they're going to get the fuel mileage they need now.
And I misspoke earlier in the race. They'd actually had the lead earlier in this race, and I thought it was because they hadn't pitted, but listening to the information that Brian just got was that they had pitted early, and then I think when all of the ST cars then came in, they leapfrogged to the front. But here we see the problem with one of the iMoto machines, the 32 car.
I believe that's Taylor Hockward.
And as usual,
gotten turned around.
Up against tire wall back there in the back. He's trying to get himself out of there, and he does.
Oh, man, there is some right side damage. Thanks for coming, ambulance. Not necessary. I'll walk it home myself. Another break coming up, and then more from the BMW Performance 200. Back in the waiting minutes, less than 20 minutes to go here in the BMW Performance 200 season opener for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Before we go green, let's go down to Chris Neville.
Well, Mike Johnson down here taking a look at the leaderboard. He's got his Stevenson Camaro up in 4th place. Obviously a good start to the year, but you guys had some pretty big drama on Wednesday with a fire in that car.
Well, yeah, we started the first practice with a little accident, lost most of that, and then in the second practice we caught on fire somehow. Something in the fuel line ruptured. We don't really know yet. We'll figure it out later, but the entire team had to rebuild the entire front half of the car from the bulkhead forward. You know, the GS guys worked on it, but also the GT guys who were preparing for a 24-hour race, they all came over as well and helped us out. And it was a huge effort by the whole team. I mean, there were like 16, guys there working on it for about 3 hours to get it done. And, we only got 1 lap of practice and then 1 lap of qualifying. So we didn't really know what we had till the race started. But, I mean, the guys have done a great job, and John's up there. And You know, we got a Camaro at Daytona, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad, and at this point, we're just happy to be here, but anything could still happen.
Well, it's been a busy week, but Mike Johnson down here working on his rule book, trying to get through this rule book for the Rolex 24 tomorrow. So he's a little bit behind on that, but he's doing the best he can.
Good guy, Mike Johnson. And there is his race car, looking nothing like what it did just about 2 days ago.
Getting ready to open it up his own go-kart center, indoor go-kart center, and
Yeah.
it was a really big effort for him. So I wish him the best on that. It's a beautiful facility.
A little further down the pit lane, here's Jamie Howe.
Well, down at Roush, Billy Johnson is still trying to win this race, but to win it, you've got to hold on to the finish. So, Brad, what does the car have left?
He's running very conservative right now. I think he's got a half a second that he might be able to dig out. We're just being really careful. Only 20 minutes to go. And
We've talked about the new brakes that are on the Mustang this year. How big of a difference has that made for you guys?
well, it's really better over a run. The brakes package that we had previously was really good for 2 or 3 laps. But if you wanted to go hard for 10 laps, like you can with the other cars, then we'd start to run out of brakes.
Let's talk big picture championship. This is only the first race of the season, but what do you guys have to do to bring one home to Roush?
Well, that's what our group do. That's the whole team, and that's what we're here for. So we're going to try very hard to keep the cars together all year and go for that championship.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You might call that the $80,000 question. 80 grand is the purse for today's BMW Performance 200. There is your race leader. We'll take a break and return. Lights are now out on the safety car. We'll be ready to go green in a moment in Daytona.
Over up your alley, Doors.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And there's some fast rednecks in my parts.
Work continues on that iMoto Mazda Speed 3. Let's get back down to the pit lane.
Nick Longy standing here watching Matt Plum out on the racetrack with the problems they had earlier. They moved back to 5th. These full course cautions have helped. Nick, can he win from 5th? We don't have a lot of time left.
We can win from 5th. You know, we can try hard. It's fantastic. Great team. You know, great preparation. These races are so exciting. The yellows keep it exciting. Matt's the man for the job. You know, we won 5 out of 10 races next year. We're going to hopefully have another one right here.
Very different cars up there in the top 5. And, you know, I was corrected earlier. I said Nick and Matt didn't have the end of the season that they wanted. Being the selfish ex-race car driver that I am, I'm thinking Drivers' Championship. I should have pointed out they did, in fact, win at Lime Rock, and they won the Team Championship. But the Drivers' Championship, it slipped away.
Well, when Nick Longy says they can win from 5th, you better believe him. The last 3 years, this team has finished 1st, and 5th in this race. Although they were running BMWs then, they have that beautiful Porsche right now. Let's see what Matt Plum can do.
Joe Vardy runs his team, and he'll hold those guys back to this last sprint race, and you'll see some speed out of this car. I guarantee you will now.
Yeah, he's really savvy, and I look forward to watching him strategize the run bump Audi in the Rolex 24-hour race this weekend, because he is a master on that pit box.
Safety car comes off the racetrack.
See how they deal with this restart. Green is go. So
looking for the flag. Flag waves. Away we go.
That's what might have caught out those guys on that last one. I think people went before Nick did, but here we see Billy Johnson up front. Embringham will take it in deep on the brakes with that Aston. But the Mustang is stronger this year. There we see another one of the Multimatic cars. Whoa, is that Mancuso there, side by side with Edwards. Edwards gives him some room. Good, clean racing there.
He could have pushed him off in the dirt. We've seen it done there before. That's not the right thing to do.
You know, it's so tempting to just wash the car out.
Absolutely. I can't say I haven't done that before.
Billy Johnson trying to bring it home again.
Defending race winners, Bob, as you know, and so important to get the season off to a not necessarily win, but these guys who didn't finish here today, that is a massive hole in their championship charge. So Brad Francis is a very smart man. He's been with Jack Roush for many years, and really they've looked at the big picture. What do we need to do differently? We've been a contender for the last few years. We're not bringing home the championship. We need to do it a bit different. These run bum boys, they've got something to say about that as well.
I still think the Aston holds a trump card, only that it's shown to be the fastest on the high banks here, and then that's where the checkered flag falls, is right there off the high banks.
Another problem with not doing well here in the season opener is you have the longest gap of the year to chew on it before you get a chance to make up for it. The next race will be March 2nd at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
With that Aston, Dorsey has strong like through the first 2/3 of the banking, but then at the end, which is past the start-finish line, you know, remember we saw Buford get passed there by the Alcada BMW early in the race. That last little bit, last 200 or 300 yards, they seem to start coming back at it.
Yeah, particularly if they've been drafted off of. The guy behind him does get a toe, no doubt.
There's the battle in the ST class. Kozarov versus Eversley.
What a story this would be.
Yeah.
That number 33 car can bring it home here. They're gambling on fuel. Will they have enough? Will they be on fumes? Looking at the two cars run around the banking, looks pretty even there.
Yeah, it looks really good. And I think they'll make it on fuel. I mean, that caution just played right into their hand right then.
Eversley, such a strong contender in this class. Running second, trying to chase down the leader.
10 minutes remaining in the BMW Performance 200. You won't miss a thing. We'll take a break and return for the conclusion. Stay with us. Shadows growing long at Daytona International Speedway in the final minutes of the BMW Performance 200 season opener for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Here on Speed with Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, Brian Till, Chris Neville, and Jamie Howe. I'm Bob Varsha. There is your race leader, Billy Johnson, and that Mustang Boss 302R.
Just topping that left front tire there, coming out there. Get a lot of squat down in the right rear corners. You're putting the power down diagonally across the car, lifts that left front.
Well, he's got the hammer down that Mustang now. I mean, this is the best we've seen it. And you heard Brad Francis saying he thinks he had a half a second in reserve he hadn't shown yet. And I think we're seeing that half second right now.
68 cars started the race. 11 officially shown out of the race at this point.
Those curves through that chicane are so much nicer now, Dorsey. You can really roll over those without any damage to the race car. You start going deeper. Oh, you see there, a little sideways action.
Nice catch.
Yeah.
And like you say, Calvin, it actually biases the chassis, lifts the wheel up in the air so you can actually float across those.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Wow, look at this. Billy Johnson looks to be stretching on the Aston now. I mean, I think he's got the wick up full now.
Plum's got around Edwards for third. There's a lap runner in the mix there. So the fourth car in line is now Plum, but he is third in position of the race right now.
The top 24 cars are in the GS class. Then come the first of the ST cars in 25th.
Edwards giving it all right there.
Plum's gone from 5th to 3rd since this restart.
Checking the battle in ST once again. Kozarov and Eversley. Someone says fuel is a concern. That means they're using more of it than they want to.
Kozarov just gapped Eversley by 0.4 of a second. It was at 1.3. It's up to 1.7 now.
Oh, this might hurt.
That's a mistake.
This car has speed, but you can't make mistakes.
That could be pressure because he was by himself there. He's feeling it. He's pushing hard, increasing the gap, but
he lost as much as he gained, though, didn't he? One little mistake here.
That means second place can close up. There you see second and third.
Yeah, that pressure for second place might play into this too.
See the Bimmerwell cars running in 3rd and 4th. One of our ST competitors had a big accident here today, Chris. David Tillenius, was the update.
Yeah, Calvin just checked in with Carl Thompson, principal for Compass 360. He said the team is over at the hospital with him. He has some personnel over there. David complaining about pain in his ribs and his back. He is conscious. He is going to have some x-rays, but other than that, he seems to be doing pretty well. Hopefully not too many broken bones, if any at all.
That was a wicked toss.
Good news after a wild ride. You had a quick glimpse of Johnny Canavas in the number 63 BMW 128i from Mitcham. There he is.
He's still going, and I think he's trying to find a place safe to get off, which would not bring out a full course caution. But that's in theory, and he's lost his whole front bumper cover, and you can see it's overheating. So.
Battle for second in ST continues. Brian Eversley and Seth Thomas. Another quick break coming up. More to come from the BMW Performance 200. We'll take you to the checkered flag when we return to Daytona International Speedway. Welcome back to Daytona. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the BMW Performance 200. Race leader Billy Johnson hoping to go back-to-back in the season opener for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Seems to have things well in hand. David Empringham runs second, Matt Plum third, Nick Mancuso fourth, John Edwards fifth.
Yeah, he gapped Empringham by a couple of tenths, Bob, on that last lap, but the man who's on a move is Matt Plum. He was 7 tenths faster than Billy Johnson on that last lap. The question is, he's running out of time, just over 5 minutes on the board, Dorsey.
Yeah, Empringham has got more than Billy Johnson to think about right now, because it is, in fact, the Rum Bum Porsche that's running the fastest lap speed. That's going to slow both of them up when they get to one another, I would think, though.
That lap Plum turned was the fastest lap of the race so far, 156.89. This is a really tight battle here, Bob. Two World BMWs. Their day has not been all smooth, but right now, two cars knocking on the door of the podium for them.
That's first through fourth right there.
That's right.
Kozarov, can he hang on from a fuel situation and a pressure situation? A lot of experience behind him.
Made that one little mistake, might have woke himself up there. You know, that'll slap you in the face. You get down on the wheel again. Get up there.
Good point. Gets you focused. It's not over yet. You're counting down those laps. Here in the lap time dwindle. Here we see a battle for second, and Plum is up to second.
Now we're going to see some speed. If he can run down Billy Johnson, who's running, I guarantee, as hard as he can.
Here he comes. This is going to be awesome. We see green flag action. We're going to see 3 more laps. And this is going to be maybe enough time for Plum. He was cutting in turn by about 7 tenths of a second, and he's 2 seconds behind. So you do the math. You're going to be all over him if he's got 3 laps to work on.
Catching them and getting by, though, 2 different things.
Billy's aggressive.
Yep.
He doesn't like to give it up. He's got those brakes to work with this year. He can defend a little bit stronger than he has in years past.
Yeah, what they were talking about before when you had Brad Francis, you could only run at full chat really aggressive 2, maybe 3 laps. Then you had to back away and give up that position and do whatever, let them cool down. That's not the case any longer.
Watching 2 battles side by side. GS on the left, ST on the right.
Empringham doesn't want to stay in third either, for that matter. He wants that position back.
He's tough, and we talked about the Porsche since last year. Has been trimmed a little bit in terms of RPM, and they said it affected the gearing most importantly. It's kind of in between gears and the splits and stuff, but you can see it's still effective and still going to be very fast this year.
This is for second place in ST.
Seth Thomas putting the pressure on Ryan Eversley. Great battle.
That's what Kozarov wants to see, too. He wants that battle to go on back there.
Sorry, this is LaFuge in the 81. Seth Thomas in the 82 car behind him. The 2 World cars running line astern. He's had success here in the past. Gregory.
Do a wild next couple laps, I'm thinking.
This is good for Kozarov, because if these 2 battle it out and Eversley starts to defend, that may cost him lap time and may not be able to close that gap.
Exactly. There is Kozarov on the left.
That's what I was talking about, Calvin. These 2 fighting each other that hard will ultimately slow their lap down a little bit.
This is a huge surprise if Kozarov and Tallman can bring this home.
Tallman and Kozarov, nobody was guessing this one going in, I guarantee you.
Oh, here he comes. LaFuge gets the draft. He moves to the inside. Battle of the late breakers right now. He's got the track position. Takes it away. Can he now go after Kozarov? Does he have more speed than Eversley had to chase down our leader?
Sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, sometimes you are quicker leading. We'll see in a minute here. It doesn't look like.
Get up there and get some.
Here comes the draft.
Pretty clear behind.
Civic moves up on the BMW. May have broken the draft a little early.
But he knew he had to go to the top side. He was sure wasn't going to give him the bottom.
Yep.
I'd like to be bump drafting a little bit.
Yeah, that would help too.
Catch that leader. Be this lap plus 1 more. Expect to see the white flag maybe next time around. It'll depend on where our overall leader, the GS car, is.
Should be getting white flag this time by. I just heard on the radio. So they're going to have one more go around after this.
Eversley using all of the road there.
Yes, he is.
These 2 guys are really, really good.
What else can I do?
LaFuge has run with the Compass 360 boys in the past, so he's jumped around the teams over the years, but A lot of talent behind the wheel of these two cars trying to chase down our leader. Time is running down, but we're waiting to see that white flag for our GS overall leader. Here he comes, Billy Johnson.
Flag is in the air, and it waves over Billy Johnson in his Mustang.
One more car. I think Billy's in good shape. He's got a good lead. With no mistake made there, that's going to be hard to run down.
Yeah, Plummer still catched him. Took 4/10 out on that lap, but time's running out. Unless Billy hits major traffic or makes a mistake.
There is traffic up in front of him, but
that run bump car looks good, though. That car was planted there, accelerating.
Oh, look at this.
Well,
that's not going to be a factor now. They're past it. I was thinking a team car could have played into this thing.
Great day for the Astons, currently running 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, really
Talked about them being a major player now, Dorsey, taking it to guys like the Roush team and BMW teams, and certainly the Run Bump team. So they still got to work a little bit harder, but had the pole. 2 cars up in the top 5. It's a good day for those guys.
Got a split frame there. There's a race for 2nd place we're looking at for ST on the right. That's not over with. Kozarov has got a good lead.
He does. Unless he runs out of fuel, he may hang on for this one. But look at Eversley almost ducking below the line here.
Which he can do. And he's going to take that back around.
Takes it in really deep on the braking. We saw problems with the Hart Civic, but tell you what, Eversley's got some brakes left in that machine.
Sure does. And they ran down Kozarov some on that lap.
Yeah,
taking half that lead away from him.
Down to 1.6 seconds as they cross the stripe.
Well, we expected close racing, and we certainly got it. And I suppose we should have expected surprises. We'll have a repeat winner in GS and a brand new debutante winner in ST here at Daytona.
Look at that side-by-side action.
2 corners.
2nd spot in ST. That is awesome stuff.
Down to the line comes Billy Johnson, and he and Jack Roush Jr. will take the victory in GS and overall at the BMW Performance 200.
Thank you guys for everything, all the hard work, the late hours, the 7-day week.
That's the Roush team celebrating. You heard the radio. Thanks all around for all the hard work. And now the battle in ST.
And that's separated a little bit now. That side-by-side stuff, Calvin, it took its toll.
Did LaFuse, yeah. He's got his way out front of Eversley, but Kozarov still leads. What a day for that team. This is awesome.
It is awesome. That's a great result. Just this chicane out, and then the banking to the start finish is all he's got to get through here clean.
Well, Candy Nissan out front.
That's going to be a happy, happy group.
I was looking down at their pit, and you could see Laura Tallman up on the pit wall applauding her car as it went by to take the white flag.
This 2nd place thing's going to get really hot and heavy. Got him the line here. Draft is working full right now.
I think LaFuse is going to make him go the high side this time.
That's the traditional slingshot. Now he blocks. Down to the line he comes, but it will be Vesko Kozarov in a Nissan Altima taking the first victory for his team in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Congratulations to Laura Tallman and her team, and to Jack Roush Jr. and Billy Johnson. Winners here in Daytona. We'll hear from them when we return. Stay with us. As the sun begins to set at Daytona International Speedway, round 1 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013 is now in the books. Let's hear from our overall winners down in Victory Lane with Jamie Howe.
Well, it is a messy celebration there as Coca-Cola being sprayed all around. So now I'll get in there. I think they're finished spraying. Billy Johnson, you had to hold on for the win for this one. What does it mean, first race of the season, for the team to come home with the victory?
Man, it's great. It was a tough end of the season last year with Jack breaking his arm and not finishing out the year together, but he came back in stellar fashion, did a phenomenal job as usual. But I got to thank all of our crew for working 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days to get this car back ready for this, and this win is dedicated to them and all their hard work.
Talk about the hard work. Jack Roush Jr. coming in. We talked about the arm. You showed us the scar earlier. A lot of naysayers say you're never the same, but you came home on the top step of the podium today. What does this do for your confidence?
For sure, a lot.
2 in a row.
Well, I had a little bit to do with it, but there's a lot of other people who worked really hard, and I'm really proud of the whole team.
Congratulations, guys. Brian?
Well, there's no better way to start the 2013 season than with a victory. And Laura, that last full course caution, I know it helped you and it answered the question on fuel, but it had to make you nervous with those Compass 360 Hondas behind you.
The fuel before that worried me more, so I was happy to have that. I figure if Vesco's out in front, he's going to stay there.
And that's exactly what he did. Vesco, what a spectacular drive. You're in the car for a very long time, but for you, sitting in the car, the last full course caution, you knew the green flag was going to come out. Were you expecting a little bit more of a battle with the Compass 360 car behind you?
I can't say so, because in the first restart I learned a lot. I knew what I needed to do to get a good run through the bus stop and follow the GS cars. A pack of 30 GS cars is a big air hole, and we took advantage of that, so that was the key. I knew so long as I got away, it was going to be good.
And this victory for this team, Laura, I know is huge. Does it change your perspective on how many races you'll run this season? Does it help you think, hey, full season would be great?
A full season would be great regardless. That's always our goal. So, you know, I came into the season hoping and planning for that, so we'll just make it work.
Yeah, they've definitely started off on the right foot, Bob.
No question about it, Brian. First victory not only for the team, but for both of the drivers who put the car in victory lane. Here are the results in the GS class.
Well, there you can see it. Raz Jr. and Johnson on top. Longy and Plum, they rebounded nicely, haven't got turned around. You see the Astons there, 3rd and 4th. Good result, followed by the Camaros. A lot of strong cars this year.
And in the ST class.
This was a story, no doubt about it. The little team that could, Laura Tallman and Kazarov there, they put it to the factory guys and did a really good job. That's a name we'll have to watch all year.
We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the BMW Performance 200, and the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2013 is underway. Our next stop, Circuit of the Americas, on Saturday, March 2nd. We'll see you then. Right now, for Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, Brian Till, Chris Neville, and Jamie Howe, I'm Bob Varsha. Thanks for joining us, and so long from Daytona International Speedway.